What's up, y'all? This is Your One Life, and I'm your host, Kim Young Kim. And I'm so happy to have you listening to episode 1. This journey is going to be a great one. And here's the deal. This podcast, the goal of this podcast is to improve all aspects of your life, teach you from the greatest minds in the world, and not sell you crypto. No offense to the crypto bros and baddies out there. Today's episode, the first episode, is about the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Now, you may have heard of it. My job is to give you the Spark Notes version of the book, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I don't know if Spark Notes still exists, but that was the thing that I used to look at, or classmates of mine used to look at back when I was in high school. Now, here's the deal. Small changes add up over time. And over time, when you have good habits, time is your friend. And over time, when you have bad habits, time is your enemy. Now, think about this. If you ate a donut, right? Everybody likes donuts. If you ate a donut, it's only 270 calories. But let's say you ate a donut every single day. Every single day, 365 days a year, that is 98,000 calories. That is 26 pounds of fat. Okay, now think about this. If you were to exercise and burn off that exact same 270 calories, you would be actually 26 pounds lighter at the end of the year. So we're talking about a difference of 52 pounds. Now, weight loss is not that simple and it's not that cut and dry, but you can see how important daily habits are. So here's the deal. Every habit that you practice compounds. It's like the snowball effect. Now, if you don't understand compound interest, okay, you need to stop what you're doing right now, which is listening to this podcast, and you need to go and look that up, okay? Because compound interest will change your life. Actually, don't do that right now. Do it afterwards because you need to listen to this podcast. But compound interest is amazing. Albert Einstein, you may have heard of him. You know, the guy that started the bagel company, right? With his bro. He called it the 8th wonder of the world. And compound interest is the thing that is going to help you to become rich or cause you to become poor. So learn compound interest and then start throwing money in the bank so you can be top rank. All right. So compound interest, right? We're talking about how things build. Okay, so everything in your life compounds. Think about this for a second, right? Your relationships compound. Your best friend is your best friend because of not one thing, but because of many things, because of all the things that they've done for you, because all of the time that you spent with them, right? Because all of the times they bailed you out of jail. I got 26 under my belt. See if you can beat me, right? But relationships compound. And so your best friend is your best friend because that positive kindness and love that your friend gives you has built up and reciprocity has happened. And that's why that's your best friend. On the flip side, negative relationships compound as well. Now, you may have heard of the labor movement. Shout out to the labor movement for giving us Labor Day and also for many other things, right? But the labor movement came up because of negative compounding, right? There were labor strikes in the late 1800s, not because of one thing, but because of many things, because of long work days of 16 hours, because of dangerous work conditions, because of wage cuts, because of broken promises, getting evicted from company housing, hiring thugs to put down strikes. I mean, there was a million things that happened that caused the labor movement to explode. And that's exactly how compounding works. Now, the San Antonio Spurs have something hanging in their building that you will be impressed by. It's a poster of me. I'm pretty sure it's still there. I put it up there in 2014. I'm just kidding. But they have something hanging in their building. And they also have five banners hanging in their arena. All right. So the thing that they have hanging in their building is this quote. Look at a stonecutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times without as much as a crack showing in it. Yet at the 101st blow, it will split in two. And I know it was not that last blow that did it, but all that had gone before. Jacob Riis. Now, you may know Jacob Riis's name, you may not, but Jacob Riis was a muckraker. He was a guy who saw things in the world and he said, let me be a person that creates change because of all the injustices that I see. So he started actually in 1873. He was a police reporter and he was taking photos and experiencing the terrible living conditions in the New York City slums. Now, fast forward to 1890, he eventually publishes the book, How the Other Half Lives. That's where that phrase comes from, right? In 1901, Teddy Roosevelt writes him a letter and says, I read your book. I'm here to help. So we're talking about 24 years of hard work, 24 years of banging the rock, right? And he understood that things take time, they take effort, and because of the thousands of pictures he took of the tenements, he helped create change. All right, so if you want to create change in your own life, what you have to do is you have to focus not on your goals, actually, but you got to focus on systems. Now, what is a system? A system is all of the working parts that help make something function, like your respiratory system, right? Your respiratory system, you have your nose, you have your lungs, you have your other parts of the body, which I don't remember because I wasn't paying attention in anatomy class. But all of these things make up a system, right? And one thing that I know is that in order to be successful, you have to focus on your systems. Now, I've spent some time doing comedy. I've know a number of people who are professional stand-up comedians. And because of that, I know to some degree what it takes to become a comedian, a professional comedian, right? And get commercial success. So there's a system to creating good comedy. First of all, you need to work on your craft. You need to study joke structure. You need to learn comedic devices. You got to write a lot of jokes. Most of them aren't going to be good, but that's the process. You have to hit open mics. I've seen comedians hit 3 open mics a night on a weekly basis. So they're like, hey, I'm doing 3 mics tonight. I'm doing 3 mics tomorrow. I'm doing 3 mics on Thursday, Friday, the whole night, right? They put in that work. And oftentimes when they're putting in that work, they are bombing on stage. But that's just a part of the system. You also have to tour. You have to make no money, sleep on people's couches, right? Sleep on people's floor. You have to treat it like a job if you want it to become a job. That is a system of becoming a stand-up comedian. But if you do all these things, what's going to happen is your likelihood of having success is way higher than the people who are just casually doing comedy. And I've seen people go from open mics in Atlanta to up on Kimmy Kimmel. That's a TV show, right? Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, QVC. That's a option too. You can make it on QVC. That's when you know you've made it big time, right? But no, in all seriousness, I've seen them make it on national TV because they put in that work. They followed the system, and the system helped them to create success. Now, one person who understands following systems in order to get success is Kobe Bryant. Now, Kobe Bryant, one of the top 10 basketball players of all time, the son of Jelly Bean Bryant, at his peak, during his best year, he dropped 35 points a game. At that time, he was the best basketball player in the world. Now, Kobe, when he was in 7th grade, he was in a basketball summer league with a bunch of young fellas who did not make it as pros. Almost all of them didn't make it as professional basketball players. Now, how many points do you think he scored that whole summer over 15, 16 games, knowing that Kobe Bryant is Kobe Bryant and he's amongst a bunch of relative scrubs? Now, if you said 0, you would be correct. That's right. Kobe Bryant did not score a three-pointer. He did not score a layup. He did not score a free throw. He got 0 points that whole summer. But Kobe Bryant knew that if he follows the system, if he follows the guidance of his coaches, his father, and all the other older heads who have helped him along his journey, that he could become great. And that's exactly what he did. Rest in peace, Kobe. Now, switching sports, the San Francisco 49ers, who are currently pretty good, they dominated football during the 80s and 90s. They won 4 Super Bowls with Joe Montana, Jerry Rice. I mean, they just had so much talent on that team. And their coach, his name was Bill Walsh, said something that really speaks to the system's idea. He said, the score takes care of itself. Okay? And what he was saying was, if you do all the things that you were supposed to system-wise, then you win because the score takes care of itself. So what you need to know is that goals don't work, systems do. In life, you've already experienced this. You've already realized that there's so much outside of your control. There's injuries that can happen. The economy could tank. There's Atlanta traffic. I mean, there's so many things that you have no control over. What we need to do is we need to focus on what we can control. And what we can control is our actions and our mindset and many other things that are in our wheelhouse. Now, one of the best quotes from the book, in my opinion, is we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. I'm going to say that again. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. This is why New Year's resolutions don't work, because you have all these grandiose ideas and these grandiose plans, and you have no system to support them. And another reason why is what we're focused on. We're focused on the outcomes. We're focused on processes, which is better. But what we really need to focus on is our identity. If you are a fan of wrestling, you may know the name Lex Luger. Lex Luger is an elite wrestler. How did he become elite? Because of steroids. Just kidding. They all take steroids. How did he become elite? Part of it is genetics. But also, the reason why he was so great is because how he focused on his identity. Now, Lex Luger, before he was a wrestler, he was a bodybuilder. And bodybuilders are some of the most disciplined people in the world as far as how they eat. A friend of mine's dad was at a party at his house. And Lex Luger was walking around in this super tight shirt, because every single shirt is tight on him, and not eating anything at his party, not drinking anything at his party. He's just walking around and making his pectorals bounce as he should. That's the entertainment for the night. And Lex Luger didn't eat or drink anything at his party because he understands what all elite bodybuilders understand. Abs are made in the kitchen. Your diet determines your destiny when it comes to being a bodybuilder, being a wrestler, and also being a food eating champion. Shout out to Kobayashi. Now, because Lex Luger understood that abs are made in the kitchen, that's why he was so successful, right? That's why he has an action figure and I don't, because I cannot say no to the Cool Ranch Doritos. Shout out, Cool Ranch Doritos. You are my vice and my favorite thing. So in order to be successful, you got to focus on your identity. You got to ask yourself what kind of identity that you want to have. All right, so now what you got to do is you got to figure out what kind of person do you want to see yourself as. Do you want to see yourself as a runner, a nature lover, a tree hugger, an athlete, a reader? If you do, then you have to start thinking like that kind of person and ask yourself what that kind of person would do. What would an athlete do? What would a musician do? What would your mom do? You're trying to become like your mom, right? Okay. I'm trying to become like your mom and raise you right. Here we are. These are jokes. But on the flip side, when you focus on your identity and you focus on the negative things, that's when you get negative results. When you're saying, hey, I'm a couch potato. Hey, I'm always late. Hey, I'm a party animal. Have you ever met someone who considers themselves a party animal? They do not have their life together, okay? They're always like, oh, you know me, I'm crazy, And then here we are having an intervention. Stop being a party animal, people. It's time to make a change for once in your life. I came up with that just now. Never got it from anywhere. I'm copywriting it right now. Don't steal it. Thank you. Now, in all seriousness, so what you got to do is you got to focus on the identities that you want to have. And as you do, you can make choices to help you to believe that you are more of that person or more of that kind of person, right? Okay. Because what happens is your habits feed your identity and vice versa. It's this positive feedback loop, and it can be a negative feedback loop too, but we don't want to focus on the negative. We want to focus on the positive, and we want to focus on how our choices feed our identity and how our identity feeds our choices. Now, here's a great quote that I really like. Change your identity, change your life. You know who said that? The Witness Protection Program. And it's true. I'm a proud alumni, by the way. Shout out to the Witness Protection Program for helping me relocate. And I'm pretty sure all the people who I snitched on are never going to come out of jail. So in case they do, I'm sorry. And please forgive me. I think that'll fix it, right? I don't know how that works. But yeah, shout out to Fat Tony and Little Mikey. But in all seriousness, that's true, right? Focusing on your identity will help you to become the kind of person you want to become. And so what you got to do is you got to focus on your identity, because you can actually change your beliefs about yourself. You can actually upgrade your self-esteem, because as adults, right, there's no such thing as a participation trophy, right? It is not given, it is earned. And the only way you earn it is by making those choices. And to help you make those choices, you have to start thinking about the identity that you want to take on. So how are you going to change your identity? You did this by habit stacking. What is habit stacking? Habit stacking is a thing that you just do when you pair things that you already do before or after the thing. Now, you have habits already. We all have habits, right? I drink coffee every day. I eat breakfast. I eat lunch. I go to the bathroom. I go to work. I shower. I work out. I get in my car. I shoplift. Every single day, I do certain things, and you do as well, right? Shout out to shoplifting, by the way. My favorite discount is the 5-finger to the face of the employees as I stiff arm them and roll out a target. But in all seriousness, all of us have certain habits. So think of some of your current habits, and after you think about your current habits, stack them with new habits that you want to take on. Okay? And how you do this is you create an implementation intention. So after I blank, I'm going to blank. So for me, it's after I kick butt, I'm going to take names. It's a daily thing for me. Okay, so here's some actual things that you can do. So after I make coffee, I'm going to use Duolingo. After I shower, I'm going to meditate. Before I shower, I'm going to take 3 deep breaths. Before I drink coffee, I'm going to write 3 things I'm grateful for. I actually do this. This is how I practice gratitude every morning. I get to work. I say to myself, man, I would really like some coffee, but instead of drinking coffee, I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for, and that's how I feel like I've earned my coffee. And come up with a plan. When you come up with the plan, take your new habit and link it with a time and location. So the new habit, let's say, for example, is reading. You'll say, I will read at 7 p.m. on my beanbag. What do you have there? You have an action, you have a time, and you have a location. Now, recently, what's been happening is a lot of elections. It feels like every year there is an election. And what they do during the elections nowadays is they say, make a plan to vote. Why do they say make a plan to vote? Because it works. Because when you tell people to make a plan to vote, what they do is they say, okay, what's my plan? I'm going to vote on Friday after work at the polling station near my house. Boom. They've basically voted in their head already. And when Friday comes around, they're going to be like, oh, junk, it's Friday. I'm going after work to the polling station, right? One of the things that I saw in the book I thought was really great was regarding social skills. And one of the people that he had mentioned in the book said, after I walk into a party, I'll introduce myself to someone. Now, I personally walk into parties and then I call the police. I think it's fun to watch the party get raided, especially since it's a Tupperware party. Shout out to the Tupperware people of America for inviting me to all these parties. But in all seriousness, that's a great one, right? After I walk into a party, I'll introduce myself to someone. Boom, there you are. So that's implementation intentions. Come up with a plan and figure out how you are going to practice your habits. One of the things that he says in the book about your habits is this. And I think this is one of the most important things, is the importance of your environment. Because it's really, really difficult to make positive choices in a negative environment. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to the buffet. You probably have. But when you're at the buffet, what good choices can you make, right? The only good choice is to not go to the buffet. I mean, you can go once in a while, have your cheat meal, cheat day, whatever. But going to the buffet, there are not good choices at hand. Now, I'm a big fan of Tim Ferriss's podcast and Tim Ferriss in general. And one of the things that he said in one of his podcasts is, I do not eat chips. I do not buy chips, actually, is what he said. I don't buy chips because I know that if I buy chips and they're in my house, I'm going to eat all the chips in one sitting. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, Tim Ferriss, you're Tim Ferriss. So how are you eating all the chips? You're like this world-class guy who does all these big things and has written many books, and you're just, you're a karate champion, and you've taught yourself Japanese or learned Japanese. How are you struggling with chips and eating them? And then I reminded myself two things. Number one, Tim Ferriss is human. And number two, chips are delicious. Now you combine those two things, humans, right, who like chips, you're going to have an empty bag of chips, right? So now that I've explained to you implementation intentions, what you got to do is you got to start practicing the new habit. And you need to remember these 4 rules for habit forming. Number 1, make it obvious. Put cues all over your environment. Put things right in the middle of the room. Put a pull-up bar right where you can see it all the time. Put your floss next to your toothbrush, right? Put things in obvious places where you can't avoid them. And you're always seeing them. If you're trying to eat healthy, put the healthiest food at eye level inside of your fridge, at eye level inside of your cupboard. And also put notifications on your phone. Have alarms on your phone. Have blocks on your calendar in order to do the thing that you're trying to do. Have a designated area for working and working out and reading and so on and so forth, right? Make it obvious and have a place and space for everything. All right, another thing is make it attractive. Make it appealing. One of my favorite authors and minds out there, his name is Naval Ravikant. And he has this phrase that will help you to work out. His phrase is, or his quote is, the best workout is the one you enjoy doing. It's true, right? Think about like having to dread things that you want to do, right? You never want to do that. You want to enjoy doing the thing that you're trying to do and figure out a way to make it enjoyable. One of the ways you can make it enjoyable is by making it a social activity, right? Now, all of a sudden, you're not just working out by yourself. You're working out with other people. You're joining a gym. You're joining a club or a group, which I'll explain more on later. But make it attractive. Figure out ways to gamify it, right? Figure out ways to make it enjoyable by doing this thing called temptation bundling. I learned this when I was in college. I was at a fitness gym and I was watching the NBA draft and I was done with my workout. But the NBA draft was so appealing that I just kept working out. I was like on the treadmill and I kept walking on the treadmill and running on the treadmill. And then I was like, what else can I do? Oh, I'm going to go lift some weights. And I was like, have I done all the machines? No, I haven't done all the machines. And so I did all the machines, right? And I did like this whole body workout because the NBA draft was so appealing to me. I was having such a good time watching it and learning the stories of these people and watching them get picked. And it was so much fun. I literally spent an hour and a half in that gym when my intention was only to spend 30 minutes. So bundle your temptations to make it attractive. Another thing that he talks about is make it easy. Take out as much friction as you can in order to do the thing that you want to do. So one of the things he says is sleep in your workout clothes. Well, if you don't like your workout clothes because they're not comfortable, then work out in your pajamas, right? It's cold outside nowadays, so a lot of people aren't going outside. So maybe you can just work out in your pajamas in your house, right? And some of y'all are like, well, that's ridiculous. I'm just saying, hey, figure out how to make it easy on you. Make it easy. And whatever way that is becoming easy for you, that's what you need to do. Okay. One of the things you should do, maybe if you want to practice more yoga, have a yoga mat in your house, laid out. So you don't even have to roll out the yoga mat when you're ready to do it, right? Have kettlebells. That's a great way to exercise. Have a weighted vest. Have a pull-up bar. These all make it easy for you to do. One of the ways that I messed up in the past is I used to try to buy cauliflower and eat it. And the problem with cauliflower is this, right? First of all, it doesn't taste good. Second of all, in order to eat a cauliflower, you have to wash it, you have to chop it, you have to boil it, and you have to let it cool. And those are all the steps that I needed to do in order to eat my cauliflower. So instead of doing that, I just let it rot in my fridge and I threw it away every single time. So now I understand that I'm not going to be a person who washes, cuts, chops, boils, cools cauliflower. And what I do is I buy pre-washed broccoli and I just cut the bag and I eat it, right? There's no real steps to that, really. Now, another way to make it easy is to, if you're trying to join a gym, find a gym on the way home from your house or something that's close to your house. I go to a gym right now, and I used to have a gym membership somewhere else where it was a lot further, and I would go twice a week. Now I go 5 times a week. Why? Because it's 5 minutes from my house. And it's kind of hard to make excuses when something's 5 minutes away from your house. I have a coworker. She changes her clothes at work before she goes to do Pilates, right? What is she doing? She's taking out friction. She's making it a lot easier to do. What you got to do is you have to think to yourself, I need to be not too big to fail, but too small to fail. How can I make something so easy and so small that I can literally do it without any excuses, without any problems? This is what I want you to do. I want you to remember this phrase, 2 minutes to win it. 2 minutes to win it. What that means is it's better to do a habit for 2 minutes than to not do it at all. Here's another phrase, some beats none. Write that down on a sticky pad somewhere, put it where you're going to be able to see it, make it obvious. And remember that a little bit is better than none. So instead of saying, I need to read a whole chapter every night, just read 1 paragraph. Instead of saying to yourself, hey, I need to study for an hour, just say, I need to open up my notes and glance at them. I literally did this before I came out to record this right now. I said to myself, I need to work out. I need some good positive energy in my life. I don't have any time. What am I supposed to do? So I have some weights in my house. I did 2 sets of squats. 2 sets. That's not a lot. Yeah, that's true. But 2 beats none any single day. And if you're questioning what I'm saying, think to yourself this, right? Would you rather have nothing to eat all day, or would you rather have 1 meal? Well, you'd rather have 1 meal, right? Okay? Because at the end of the day, some beats none. Also, make it easy by making one-time decisions. I had this friend, he's a country singer. He's not like big time, but he, goes and plays at different breweries and bars and whatnot. And he was complaining to me one day. He was like, man, dude, like they keep feeding me these burgers and fries and beer and, it's free. So I just eat it. And now my health is going bad and my heart is having problems and so on and so forth. So anyways, he was complaining to me one day and he was just like, dude, I just keep eating all this bad food. And I just told him, hey, man, what you need to do is you need to tell these breweries and these bars that have you keep continuing to come back, just tell them, look, I'm trying to take care of my health. What I need is this. Give me some steamed vegetables. Give me a turkey burger. Give me a healthy meal. And if you tell them that ahead of time, right? When they see you, they know, hey, we need to feed this guy a healthy meal, and here's what he usually eats. It's a one-time decision that fixes everything in the future. So make it easy, make it automatic. And if you do that, you will have a lot more success. Another thing, make it satisfying, make it enjoyable. If you want to eat broccoli, add some hummus. Hummus is healthy and it will make the broccoli go down. Also, make it fun, make it interactive, maybe with a friend. Maybe if you're trying to read, you read stuff that you actually enjoy. If you're trying to save money, have your money saved for a certain thing like going to Europe, right? Or to pay off my gambling debts. Shout out to my Patreon future subscribers for paying off my gambling debts. Just kidding, by the way, I don't gamble. But make it satisfying. Save money for a thing. And in your head, you're saying, hey, you know what? I'm not just saving money. I'm saving money for something that's super exciting to me. And one of the ways you can make it satisfying is to reward yourself. Reward yourself, but reward yourself with something that's going to make something even more likely for you to do it. So for example, when you go running, don't reward yourself with like chocolate or chips or anything like that. Reward yourself with a pair of running shoes eventually. If you have a nice pair of running shoes, you might go running more often, right? And that will make it more satisfying. Now, next part, we need to focus on the old habits that we want to break. In order to do so, what you got to do is do the inverse of every single thing that I just talked about. So instead of making something obvious, make it hidden, right? If you drink a lot of booze or you have a problem drinking, put your booze out of sight. Put things under stuff in your fridge on the bottom drawer, right? Out of sight, out of mind. Keep your phone in your backpack instead of in your pocket or on the table, because at the end of the day, it's easier to avoid a temptation than to resist it. So make it hidden. Another thing, make it unattractive. If you have a vape and you're vaping all the time, put a I love feet sticker on your vape, okay? And if that doesn't help, then peel that sticker off. And now what you're stuck with is a sticky residue on your vape that won't feel comfortable to hold and touch, right? Also, if you have problems with video games, put a picture of Elon Musk on your video game controller. Now, if you hate him, right, you won't want to pick up the video game controller. If you love him, you will feel him secretly judging you as you pick up the game controller, because in your mind, you're going to say, what would Elon do? Probably not play Fortnite or Call of Duty. All right, but yeah, make it unattractive. One of the things that I do is I put my phone on grayscale at all times, because those bright, pretty colors, they make me want to get on my phone more. And therefore, when it's not attractive, I'm not picking up my phone much, right? Another thing, instead of making things easy, make them hard. I keep my phone in my car a lot. And the reason why I do that sometimes is because I don't need distractions in my life. I go to coffee shops, I leave my phone in my car for hours at a time. And I say to myself, I am going to not get up out of my seat and walk all the way 35 feet to my car. And it keeps me off of my phone, right? Another thing I use is a kitchen safe, which is something that has like a time locking mechanism that if you put anything in there, it will lock you out for however long that you want to be locked out of there. Those things help me to focus on the things that I need to do. One of the things after reading this book I came up with was, if I'm going to have junk food in my house, I'm no longer going to have chips. I'm no longer going to have cookies. If I have something that's bad for me, it has to be cooked. So instead of chips, I can have hash browns. Instead of cookies, I can have toaster strudels or, cookie dough. But cookie dough I might eat. So maybe that's not a good idea. But I have to make it difficult on myself in order to keep myself from eating poorly. So make it difficult. You need to delete Facebook and Instagram off your phone, or give yourself a long password that you do not save so that you will not be on it, because that is a waste of time. That is nothing but the truth, and that is just what I have to say. Listen, Facebook and Instagram on your phone is a no-go. Delete those things. Delete your saved password. And if you do that, you will not be using social media that much, right? Another thing, there's this app called Opal. Opal is a great app that you pay for, which I know you're like, I don't want to pay for any apps, but trust me, it is worth the money because it blocks you out of anything that you don't want to get onto on your phone. So you can set YouTube, Instagram, anything, any websites, so on and so forth. And what that's going to do is it's going to boost your productivity, right? Also on your computer, you can use a product called Focus Me. I use it actually, and it's pretty good. It gets you to focus on the things that you need to do. There's a couple others called Self-Control and Freedom. Both of those are very helpful. And both of those make it more difficult to do the things that you shouldn't be doing, but you are wanting to do, right? Because at the end of the day, the only way you're going to become successful in life is by focusing on the things that you know you should do and not doing the things that you know are a waste of time and a distraction. Another thing that you can do is you can actually unplug your television. You can take the batteries out of the remote control. You can take those batteries, you can hide them in different places in your house, right? Now, all of a sudden, if you're going to try to watch TV, you have to actually work to watch TV. And you're going to think to yourself, do I really want to go upstairs and go downstairs and get these batteries and put them back in the remote control, right? That will help you. Make it difficult. Log out of Netflix on your TV. And all of those things are friction. And what you need in order to be successful in life is you need friction. Okay. You need things that are there to keep you from doing the thing that you don't want to do. If you have a drug dealer, right, delete your drug dealer's number from your phone. Matter of fact, rob your drug dealer. Rob him or her, and the likelihood of them selling you drugs again, pretty unlikely, right? So shout outs to crime when it pays. And that crime definitely pays. All right. The last thing, instead of making it satisfying, make it dissatisfying. Okay. How do you make something dissatisfying? Well, there's a lot of different ways, but I found one with social media, which is a problem for a lot of people, right? Follow a bunch of accounts that you actually don't like. Actually, you hate what they had to say. Not the big ones where you look crazy to your friends. They're like, you follow that person, but maybe someone smaller who's not known, but they post things that you are not into at all. Matter of fact, here's another way. You can trick the algorithm. You can give someone that you disagree with philosophically and politically your phone and say, hey, I need you to go in and start searching for things that I am not into. Well, what that's going to do is that's going to trick the algorithm, because that's what it does. It feeds you what you like. And if they look for things that you don't like, guess what? That is going to help you have a feed full of stuff that you don't like. And then you're going to be like, oh, this is not satisfying at all. And you won't be on your phone as much. Here's another thing that makes things dissatisfying. Pay someone to follow you around and put you on blast when you're failing. Have them walk around behind you and be like, this person is breaking their promises to themselves. This person is not living up to their potential. What are you doing? If you have that kind of disposable income, I am for hire. Shout out to me via email. I accept crypto, and your mom sucks. All right, so I'm going to review those 4 rules again. Here we go. You got to make it obvious so that you could just see all the things up in your eyes and don't let it be disguised. It comes straight through. And I got to practice how to make it attractive. That's what we got to do. So I will just come through and freaking watch it and do it. And that's what I do. It's why I'm so fluid. I'm talking about making it easy so you could just come through and do one thing at a time. I'm talking about 2 minutes just to freaking win it. And that's how you do when you come through and finish. I'm just trying to make it satisfying, and I'm not lying. I got to have a bunch of things that make me smile, and that's what I say when I come in freestyle. I'm just spitting how I make it hidden. You got to put it out of sight, and that's what I say up on the mic. I'm talking about things that I got to bring, make it unattractive, and that's what I say. You got to put a bunch of stickers of things you don't like, and that's what I'm saying. It's not nice, but it's a way you got to go, and I just flow. I'm on the boulevard just to make it hard. I'm about to make my life hard, so I won't do things that I don't want to, and I'm not here to haunt you, but I'm just coming through and talking about how you need to make it uneasy so you could just see the things that you want up in your life. And that's what I say when I'm busting on mics, I'm spitting off the top, and that's how I go. Habit forming right there, up in the flow. All right. So those are the things. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying. And on the flip side, make it hidden, unattractive, difficult, and dissatisfying. All right. Now, here are some tactics and some strategies to help you with just this. You need a visual reminder so that you can see things all up on your wall. Be like that one dude named Jerry Seinfeld and don't break the chain at all. Here's the deal. You need visual reminders, right? Now, a great reminder is a wall calendar, right? Jerry Seinfeld actually did this. He actually had a calendar on his wall that had every single day laid out. Obviously, that's what calendars do. But he said to himself, don't break the chain. What does that mean? Don't break the chain. Don't break the chain means he's going to write jokes every single day and he's not going to miss a day. He said to himself, I want to be a professional stand-up comedian. And you know what professional stand-up comedians do? They treat it like a job. They don't break the chain. They continue to write jokes every single day. And that's exactly what he did. And he did that for a number of years. And because he did that, he was successful. Have a visual reminder. Have something that tells you, hey, you are not doing the thing that you said you're going to, and you are not living up to your potential. Now, there's apps out there like Habit Bull and Habit Tracker, and those are cool if you use your phone. I try to stay off my phone as much as possible. So because of that, I don't like those sort of things, but they are effective for some people. Here's another strategy. Have a habit contract with a friend, right? Make a contract and say to yourself and say to your friend, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And if I don't, then here are the penalties, okay? And one of the things that is super effective is this app called Stick. That's STIKK. And basically what it is you agree that you're going to donate to a cause that you hate or dislike strongly. And you will do that if you fail at your habit. Well, guess what? All of us have our beliefs that we feel strongly about, and all of us do not want to donate to things that we don't believe in. And that will help very much to get you to do the thing that you said that you're going to do. And maybe what you need to do is make your disincentive wearing a Hannah Montana shirt. Okay? If you need one, email me at downwithhannahmontana@gmail.com. I got you. Another thing is to have an accountability partner who you are going to let down if you do not practice a habit. This is also done as a commitment device. And I've done this in the past. A number of summers ago, a friend of mine named Josh, we made a plan to go jogging together, right? At like 7:30 in the morning. And here's the deal. I hate jogging. I do not like jogging. But even more than not liking jogging, I don't like being a bad friend. And so on those Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, when it was time for me to meet up with Josh, I would hear my alarm, turn it off, and say to myself, why? Why did I sign up for this? But because I did not want to let down my friend, I got up every single time, put some clothes on, went running, and felt good about myself afterwards, right? There's a couple times where I actually texted him and I said, hey, are we still doing this? And he goes, yes, we are. And I was like, oh, but at the end of the day, I got up, I got out, and I practiced a habit that I wanted to do. So have an accountability partner, a commitment device, like you paying for a class ahead of time that will force you to go to the class, right? Whatever it is, get yourself committed. Another thing that you can do, which is similar to like having a accountability partner, is having a commitment towards doing something that hurts your soul. It's similar to that stick app, but like one example is having a $10 bill hanging somewhere. And if you don't practice the habit, you have to burn the money. Now, burning money is literally going to hurt anybody's soul. And because of that, that is a great device that will force you to do the thing. So find something that's going to hurt your soul and have that as your commitment device. There's this one guy who's an entrepreneur who was mentioned in the book, and he has this auto tweet that goes out and it says, it is 6:10 a.m. and I am still asleep because I'm lazy. Tweet at me for $5 via PayPal with a limit of 5 people. Now, what that entrepreneur knew is he knew every single morning he would wake up at 5:50 a.m., go and delete that tweet so that he wouldn't have to pay people and also not look like a lazy bum, right? So figure out things that are going to help you to do the thing that you want to do. Also, one of the things that James Clear said, he said this in the book, but he also said this in a podcast. He said, this is one of the most important parts of the book that people neglect. And that's join something that the thing that you want to do is the norm. So if you want to become more of a songwriter and practice songwriting, then join a songwriting group or join a CrossFit gym or join something where the thing that you want to practice is the norm, because that is going to encourage you to do the thing that you want to do, because people want to be liked and people want to be approved of. And when you're in places where you don't do the thing that you said that you want to do, right? Or you don't do the thing that's considered the norm, you are going to feel bad about yourself. And that is super helpful, right? So remember, environment is key, and people want to be liked and people want acceptance. And you can use that to your benefit in order to do the thing that you want to do. Another thing that is very important for habit forming is self-awareness, right? Self-awareness, understanding who you are, how you're wired, what's going to make you happy. I have a very close friend of mine who is not a night person. He's a morning person. Those people actually exist, right? And he does not do well at night, right? His body starts to shut down at around 8 p.m. and he usually goes to bed at like 9 or 10 p.m. So what he does with himself is, as a morning person, he reads in the morning, he studies in the morning, he does all of the positive things that he wants to do in the morning, because that's the way he's wired, right? So understand how you're wired. I know for myself, I will never be a consistent runner. I don't like running. Now, do I go jogging sometimes? I went jogging like just the other day, right? And I said to myself, why am I doing this, right? Well, because I only had 10 minutes. And I said to myself, some beats none. I don't have time for the gym. I'm going to run for 10 minutes, right? I know I'm not going to be a runner ever. And I'm not going to force myself to become a runner, because I am also not a masochist, right? There are guys out there like David Goggins who are like, I love pain and I'm going to embrace all the painful things in this world. I am not that, right? I am aware of who I am. I try to go play basketball. I try to do things that are fun and active. And when I have to, I will run. But I know that I can never force myself to become one of these people that runs the Peachtree Road Race or the New York Marathon or anything else like that, right? Another thing, switch it up with novelty. Make it fun. You have to change things up because things get boring over time. And I'm going to end with this because this is something that James Clear said, and I think is very important for you to understand. As you take on a new identity, be aware to not be too vested in the new identity that you have. Because oftentimes when people have an ingrained identity that becomes so much a part of themselves, when that identity is taken away, what ends up happening is they feel lost. I personally experienced this myself. I had this dream of becoming a youth motivational speaker when I was 19 years old. I pursued it eventually. And once I decided I didn't like the job and I didn't like, the process of the work and all that stuff, I felt very, very lost. And I did not know what to do with myself. And I would have been better off just saying this is like a part of who I am, but not all of who I am, right? All right, so that's a wrap. Those are the things to remember. Hopefully you got a lot out of this episode. Hopefully you will apply this stuff to your life. And as I read this book and as I did a bunch of research on habit forming, I realized that there's so much more to this science than what this book covers. And I think Atomic Habits is a good starter book for people who are trying to change their habits, but it doesn't cover everything. And one thing I know is James Clear had people that he actually learned from. So I'm actually going to cover some of their books in the future because there are some OGs in the game of habit forming, and I want to bring you the very best information from the greatest minds in the world. All right, so that is that. I hope you have a wonderful day. I am out, and that is what I say. All right, so that is the end of the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you really got something out of it. Now, if you dug this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. And if you would leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts and other places, that will help me very much in helping spread the word. And I really appreciate any support that you send my way. All right, so that's it. This is Your One Life. I'm your host, Kim Young Kim. I hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your week. And until next time, peace out.